Thank you, Amy, and thank you for your beautiful reading, and thank you all for your beautiful readings. It's a great honor to be in this company. And thank you so much for coming out. We were just speculating at my table about where you all come from. How many of you all are from Marin County? So lots of Marin County. And from the city? Yay. East Bay?
Oh, yeah.
Any place else?
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. So, my gosh, I'm just so amazed at the audience for poetry. I was talking to one of my discouraged graduate students today. He just said, you know, does anybody want our poetry out there? Who are we writing for? So it's for you all, and so thank you for being an audience. It's just great, and thanks to the library, thanks to Dean very much for organizing the event, and thanks to Mark Doty for putting the volume together. So I'll read the poem that Amy referred to, and it's in the volume. It has an epigraph from Nicole Leroux, who's a French theorist who wrote a really amazing essay on the moaning in Greek tragedy, and that's where I took my title from. In the tragic world, all moaning tends to consider itself music. Moaning action at the gas pump. Soon it will be necessary to start a behavior of moaning outdoors when pumping gas. That capital S is a sort of gas nozzle, pulling up, beginning a low moaning action, pulling a deep choral moan with cracks up through the body, the crude through the cracks of sea and earth, pulling neurotransmitters glutamate, acetylcholine, and others across chasms in the nervous system into the larynx till the sound acts by itself. So we shred the song to continue, meaning, mourning, moaning, mourning. I'm able to complete 34 moans by the time I've filled half the tank. City-states outlawed open whaling because it was not good for democracy, but now you will merely be embarrassed even if you drive a hybrid. Please be embarrassed, please. Inside the pump, you can hear a bird, a screech-covered Pelecanus accidentalis, lugged out of the Gulf with 4 million tons of used booms in non-leakable plastic, 13 million tons of liquid in non-leakable plastic 5 miles up the road. Their 5 has a leak in it, by the way. The moan fans out as you put your head down on the hood of your car. Please moan, though the other drivers are staring. Squeak, there are other animals inside the pump, the great manatee, Trichintus manitus. You've seen it float like a rug. It has something wrapped in it among grasses that will not return. Ew. This moan won't be the same mammal, but is a democracy with no false knowledge. The sounds pushed up to the edge of the painting, globs of oil floating to shores of salt marshes. The broadcaster says the globs look like peanut butter, wanting to sound lovable so we can begin to feel friendly about them. Ever since 3 wars ago, the moan meeting other moans, and you ask how to get over it. Is it like Gilgamesh and Enkidu, David and Absalom, like Isis and Osiris, like Ishmael in history? Is it like Hecuba and her kids, Cassandra who did not drive? Is it like Mary, like Antigone who could barely lift the body to bury it? Probably you don't. Probably you don't have to get over it. If you can manage it, if you can manage to moan, it's good. But if you can't, you can just hum. And sometimes in Moraga, where I teach, everyone's very polite. So when I go to my gas station there, I just like that. So practice. So if you can imagine all over America people doing that at their gas pumps, just the low hum or the moan or the big, big dramatic thing. And people get out of there really. They don't look at you, they don't look at you. So I worked with Code Pink on trying to get us out of Iraq, lobbying a lot in Congress, and I wrote some poems in they're published in Practical Water on talking to Congress about the war. This is called A Violet in the Crucible. Shelley wants you to visit Congress when he writes A Violet in the Crucible, and when he notes imagination is enlarged by his sympathy, that you may intuit environments as endangered creatures do when 7 million pounds of nitrogen flow into the Chesapeake. As you push open the cherrywood door and the intern looks up from her map of wheels beside the philodendron with streaked anemic arrows and a jar of pens from some pharmaceutical firms, Shelley knows you are endangered as the eyeless shrimp, Psychobromus hyee, living among rocks upstream in Virginia, feeding on dying leaves is, or the congressman you've come to visit is endangered, feeding in the Rayburn cafeteria with the lobbyist from Bechtel, having left his aide endangered in the faux maple carol to work on the war funding bill, where seedlings of the law have finished sprouting. You look at things to make them speak. You have thread-like legs found only in your species. The cogs are selling credits to the dams for phosphorus to go into the sea. When Shelley says the poet is the legislator, he means as the dusky-tailed darter from Tennessee legislates, or the Indiana bat, Myota stodalis, the dwarf wedge mussel, half buried in Maryland with your bivalve in your silt of wetland habitat, as you, the vanishing northeastern bulrush from Massachusetts, legislate by shrieking. It doesn't mean you will live. He means you could live on listen, as the sturgeon in 1 million pounds of phosphorus, or the snowy plover from Cascadia might. The aide is living on listen too. He takes your words. There's a little you in his left eye, which tries to focus on your nervous speech, the stubby tassel swinging on his shoe. He's got a friend in the Marines who likes it over there instead of working in the tire shop after high school. The punctuation falling from your eyes, its eyes, their eyes, his eyes, is merging with as he explains the Pentagon budget, his sentences forming a 5-star alkaline. We cannot leave them there without weapons, He cannot see the stars camped in your heart, the bunched up stars, though he also has stars in his heart, and his friend the Marine has stars. When Shelley notes the poet is meant to cheer, he means your name is on the list right here. He means if you don't survive this way, there are others. He means send the report with your body. We're feeling a little relieved, some of us or some of you, about Obama. I just want to say there's lots of work to be done, and sending the report with your body. So I'm going to read 5 shortish new poems. I've been working on a tetralogy of the Earth's elements, earth, air, water, fire, and this is the last book that I'm just finishing now. And I'm going to read some poems that correspond to autumn. I thought that seasons have emotions, and very micro seasons and micro emotions, and I wanted to track them because we live in such an amazing, beautiful place, and there are these micro moments that I wanted to track. So these are autumn poems, starting with right before Halloween. To spirits of fire after harvest, this is dedicated to Richard Moore, who is a great poet who's sitting in the front row here and whose work I love. To spirits of fire after harvest. Between earth and its noun, I felt a fire. What does it mean by I, Mrs.? It means, and I quote, one of the vowels in the brain and some of the U's. We were interested in the type of thing humans can't know, interested in kinds of thing animals think, a rabbit or a skink. You misses Skiltonianus, when autumn brings a grammar, wasps circle the dry stalks, and you can totally see through amber ankles dangling in dazzle under our Lord, the Son of Literature. Between noon and its noun, there were ridged and golden runes on pumpkins, bluish gourds in the fields, their white eyes lined up inside. Wait a sec. Please don't nail the door shut. The air is friendly and non-existent as Veronica's veil. Earth, don't torment your fool, your ambassador clown. Bring the X of oxygen and sex, a fox running sideways through present noon. Some kinds of reading in childhood. I don't know if you all had the experience. I grew up in Tucson and we had picture day, you know, and picture day was such an anxiety-producing day, you know. Ugh, you know. Some kinds of reading in childhood. Do you remember picture day? Then when the packets came back, in each child's eyes an incomprehensible fire. You were ordinary in the sense of the endangered West. Your mother wiped the windshield with a shredded Kleenex. That's why you deserved your oily treats. Inside the school, reading made sparks. Peril, 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 and all. Outside the school, acres of signs in cellophane noon, where under the school termites take the tasty beams into their bodies. Delicate, hairless arms. Save the volcanoes for later, flame folder. You did such a good job with the maps. The world has created a sickness, but the sickness is being reversed. Consonants can be reasoned with, but vowels start fires. Now, breathing twice. Now, here come the bandit occupiers. Silence and meaning. Grammar of this life at noon. The immortals wait in the fields, and the newt under the laurel, a dragon whose 3 heads argued with themselves, the push thistle, Celestrina echo butterfly with automatic semicolons on its wings, 'twill hide under the Clorox cloud, and that's that. Some punctuation is just too sensitive to be outside. Stubby white teeth on that baby vole, smile on its face, squeak like Gnostic Jesus. It's comma, 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 claws, claws, verbless mosquito egg daylight. Worker, dreamer, your soul has slept with countesses so long his hands still smell like money. He says to himself, my Lord the Sun has thrown his sexual shadow upon me. Oops, where did it go? It's just fallen behind something. What has? Whatever you lost. Patience swoons in the sword ferns. Deep in the earth, a grief had been heard. Right behind that, a local mystery. What do you mean by mystery, Mrs.? The parallel series that sink in the mist, tentacles of limestone, Jupiter drops through Pegasus, and huckleberries line up like eyes in the matinee. Deep in the earth, an unprecedented seed. Hearing leans from the words, early, earth, hearth, all have ears in them. I can hardly bear it, yet I go out. What can't you bear? Which, by the way, also has an ear in it. The tender exactingness, electrons swoon in the sword fern, Polysticum munitum, and after the rain, sexy tips of celadon. Sorry, breathe under the fronds. Womanly shadow, why don't you try? Can't. My love and I are tired and cannot fly. Okay then, it is noon in the orange you wish for. It is night in the wretched war. A gasp in all creation. A stem pushes up to its prime. And this is the last one. This is dedicated to all of you who have been working all day after a long, difficult day. You talk to your loved ones at night. It is a kind of modernism. Color sees into you, thinks a warm path, a tint of meaning brought from how you feel. Then you are double. The owl calls out, Taito alba in your sleep. Squeak, skrrr, heart-shaped face emitting loose nouns. Under its turf, the smart mouse turns, The fierce dead merge with the recently born, where earlier they emptied what you seek. How will you be known? Some registered complaints. You pass them in the hallway, their new haircuts. The bosses are known by new wars. When salmon are left, hurry upstream, cold swaths in the bay. Linnets by rose fire at the edges. Linnet or finch? The word edge has wings made of E. The moon rests in a mantle of minutes, its boundaries in back of the trees. Boundaries are known by their nothings. You will be known by your dreams.